Hello friends, welcome to the studio. We've got a cardboard adventure for you today. We're going to make a shadow frame and shadow puppets so that you can tell your own stories to your friends and family, or maybe you can retell a story that you like a lot and change it if you've always wanted to change it. So there's all kinds of things that you'll need to do this project. First of all, you'll need some recycled cardboard. You'll need thick cardboard and thin cardboard. This is thick cardboard from a cardboard tray that held cat food cans. You'll need a pretty big piece of thick cardboard. I'll show you why in a minute, but the size of the cardboard will determine the size of your theater. You'll also need some thin cardboard, thin and smooth, like this tissue box that I flattened out and started using. That's going to be for your puppets and any background things you want to make. You're going to need something thin and white, like a piece from a plastic trash bag, or if you have it, a piece of white tissue paper will also work. The tools you're going to be using are pencil, eraser, scissors. If you have a hole punch, that can be useful. And you'll need some tape. It doesn't have to be fancy washi tape like this, but if you have tape that is not super sticky so that you can use it over and over again, that would be good. You'll need something to use as a control rod for your puppet. You can see here that I've just used a colored pencil, and the tape is what's holding the puppet to the colored pencil. So anything that is long and thin and pretty sturdy will work. A kebab skewer, a drinking straw, a dowel. I'm sure you've got lots of things that are long and thin, and it'll be okay to borrow them for this project because you're only going to be taping them to something else. You're also going to need a light source. This is a little flashlight. It has a really powerful beam, so a flashlight is great. If you don't have a flashlight, any kind of light or lamp where you can direct the beam of light will work. Making your theater frame is very straightforward. You're going to cut out a rectangle of cardboard from whatever your source is. This is the bottom of the cardboard tray. You can see the shape of the cans is still on it. And I cut a square out of the rectangle, leaving some cardboard for a frame. This is something that you might want to ask an adult to help you with. I used a craft knife. This is what a craft knife looks like. And I cut this out on my carpet so that when I went through the cardboard, the point of the knife went into something soft. You could also cut this out with scissors, but again, you would need an adult's help because you would want to open the scissors so that they look more like a knife, and then you would score. You would gradually cut through the thickness of the cardboard into that soft carpeted surface. I used a piece of plastic trash bag to cover the opening of my frame, and I just taped it in place, making sure that the plastic was pulled nice and flat. And then I took 2 extra pieces of cardboard from one of the flaps of the tray, and I cut a notch halfway through the long side, and these are the feet for your theater. You just slide the feet onto the bigger frame using the notches, and that will help your theater stand up. And then you're on one side of your theater and your audience is on the other side. And the light is also on your side of the theater. I would show the nice plain brown side towards your audience, and it would be even nicer if you decorated it. Why don't you use crayons and you can decorate the sides of your theater? Or if you have some nice wrapping paper left over from wrapping presents, you could also put that over the plain cardboard of your theater. And you're going to make your characters for your story and any special background pieces from the thin, smooth cardboard. I like to draw my idea first to make sure that I have everything the way I want it to be before I use my cardboard. I have plenty of paper, but I don't have a lot of cardboard, and I don't want to waste any of it. So I've been thinking about birds and rabbits a lot lately, and I don't know the story yet between these two characters. The way I made the rabbit was I drew a simple shape for the head and a simple shape for the body. Then I started adding more lines and shapes to make all of the details. And you probably can't see all of these lines on my puppet because after I drew all of this, I colored it. And the coloring will cover up a lot of the line work that you made. Now the way I did the eye was after I cut out the rabbit shape, I used my hole punch to punch out the rabbit's eye. There are many ways to draw rabbits. This is just the way that I drew the rabbit. And for the bird, I did almost the same simple shapes. I made a pointed shape for the bird's body. I made an oval shape for the bird's head. Then I added on a beak shape, added on some simple curved lines for the wings. The most important part of your drawing is the shape of it, the outside shape, what we call in art the contour. And so that's why you want to think carefully about the details of your animal and make sure that if you're doing a rabbit, it has rabbit-shaped ears and a rabbit-shaped tail. Otherwise, your audience might think that they're looking at a fox or looking at a cat. I went ahead and colored my puppets, but when the audience sees your puppets, they're only going to see them as a black shadow shape appearing through the white plastic of your frame. So they won't see any of your details and any of your colors unless you show them after the show is over. These kinds of entertainments with shapes of shadows are found all over the world in all kinds of cultures. Some of the oldest examples come from Asia, from countries like China and Indonesia. There are also traditions of making silhouettes and telling stories with them in Europe and in the Americas. People still perform shadow plays today, and you can find theaters all over this country. So after I have decided how I want to make my characters on paper, then I go ahead and make my characters again on the cardboard. And I've already made these two characters, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make something else for my play. I'm going to make a flower. So to draw the flower, I'm drawing it just like I would be drawing a picture. I just want to make sure that every part of the flower is something that I can cut out. So you'll notice that when I drew the flower's stem, I didn't use one line, I used 2 lines side by side. And it's even a little thick for a flower's stem. For these kinds of silhouettes, a lot of times you have to exaggerate what something might look like for real. And so that means you might make it a little bit bigger than it is in real life, or you might make it a little bit wider. You might even make it a little bit simpler. You might leave out some of the details of your subject because it's easier to not cut them out. When I want to cut into a tiny space, I cut into that space from one side and then I cut into that space from the other side. And usually you can just pull the scrap of cardboard right out. You'll notice that I'm holding my scissors so that I'm cutting with the bottom of the blade close to the handles. I'm not cutting so much with the tips. Even this thin cardboard, it's pretty thick and it would be hard to cut out pieces with just the tips of my scissors. To cut away this piece of cardboard, I am going to cut in different directions and turn my cardboard so I can fit my scissors where it wants to go. I didn't get quite close enough to my pencil line, so I'm going to go back and cut some more away. Sometimes you have to cut the cardboard away little by little because that's just the easiest way to do it. If something gets cut off, you can always tape it back in place. So if I had cut, if I cut this leaf off by accident, I can tape it back on. I'm going to put the tape on the side of the flower that I don't want to cut. So I'm putting the piece of tape on the side that has all of the printing from when it was a tissue box. And now I'm going to put the leaf in place. So now it's taped on. And then all I have to do is trim away this extra tape. And now the leaf is attached back on the stem, good as new. I was so excited about making this flower that I didn't color it. And I'm not going to color it now. It's really hard to cut something that has been cut out, especially here where the leaves and stem come together. But I will draw another flower blossom to show you my coloring technique. When I'm coloring something, I like to use more than one of the color because that makes it look more interesting and sometimes makes it look more dimensional. So I'm going to color the center of this flower yellow, and then I'm going to add a darker yellow into that center to make it look more rounded. I'm going to color the petals pink here at the bottom where they join the center. And that's just to give a little extra dimension to them because I want them to be white. It's like a daisy. And the nice thing about coloring before you cut out is if you color outside your lines, it doesn't matter because you're going to cut away all that extra cardboard. So if I was going to get this ready for my play, this is not a puppet, it's something for the backdrop. So what I'm going to do on my side, the puppeteer side, is I'm going to take a little piece of tape and tape the flower into the frame. Now, this should work. I'm going to turn on my flashlight so that you can see the shadow shape. There it is. Do you see it? And when I'm presenting the play and I have the frame standing upright, the audience will see this dark silhouette shape as I move the silhouette shapes of the bunny and the bird around them. All right, my friends, I'm really excited to continue working on my story about the bird and the bunny, and I hope that now you are excited to create your own story to share. Have fun. I'll see you next time.